not just England, but Scotland as well. Of course, in America, we call it association football. They tend to call it soccer to
Yeah,
differentiate
yeah,
from their
yeah.
American football, which of course is a game more like rugby. And they call it soccer. And the word soccer, if you didn't know, comes from the word association, where you have the ASSOC. The SOC forms part of the word soccer. So that's where that comes from. But
Ah,
even in this country, we do still sometimes call it soccer, don't we? But our
yeah.
instincts say football. So that's football, very much a game, given to the world. Although other countries, as with all of these things, other countries lay claim to things. But I think there's a general acceptance that soccer, the English or that football itself, the modern game of football, came from Britain.
Yeah.
So that's that. The next game we might look at, we mentioned rugby because American football, for anyone who's ever watched that, and it's quite an exciting game, is kind of a version of rugby, very different in other ways, but it does have its roots in the game of rugby. Now, rugby, do you know where rugby was started? Any idea?
England?
It was in England, but more specifically, it started at rugby school, which is which is why it's called rugby. There's an impressive school, been there
All
a long
right.
time, called Rugby School. And there was a man called William Webb Ellis, and he used to play rugby, or at least he used to play football, the traditional game of football, at
Yeah.
rugby school. And one day, for reasons I don't know and haven't been able to find out, playing football, he decided to pick the ball up and run with it. Now, this is kind of the most popular story that, or I don't know whether it's a myth, but this is how people say that the game of rugby started, and it took off because people then chased him, pulled him to the floor, and it just seemed a wholly more satisfying thing to do, I think, to grab someone and throw them around and grab the ball off them. So that's how that started at rugby school. I
Right.
mean, interestingly, the game in this country split into two. It was in about 1895, something like that, where there was a big dispute on payments to players.
Right.
Anyway, the upshot was that one section became rugby union and the other section rugby league. Rugby league tends to be much more in the north of England, though not exclusively. And there are different, I don't know the differences really, but there are differences in the rules or the laws of the games. And I think also rugby union has more players, possibly 15 aside, whereas rugby league has, I don't know, 12 or 13, something like that.
Right.
So, yeah, and as I said before, American football finds its roots in rugby. So, once again, that was something that, we kind of gave to the world again, really, because it is played in other countries too. So, any thoughts on rugby? Have you ever played rugby?
No, and I don't think I will ever
No?
play rugby. No. It's too physical for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too physical for me. I'm afraid if I played rugby and somebody rugby tackled me, I think it might result in an exchange of blows.
No, I wouldn't expect that from a man like you,
I know, I
to
know,
say that.
I know. I,
But
I
I know
just,
what you mean.
yeah, yeah.
I know what you mean. You'd feel tempted, wouldn't you, to react? But
You
I
would,
guess
yeah,
they're trained not to.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a rough and tumble game. And in fact, I've never played rugby, and like you, I never really wanted to.
No.
I had, apparently, I don't remember this, was my parents told me.
No.
Apparently, I don't remember this, was my parents told me. At the end of my primary school, I had an interview for quite a well-known school. I think it still is for Dulwich College on a scholarship. And I don't remember this, but apparently my thinking was because they only played rugby and not football, which I've been used to playing in my primary school, I
Yeah.
wasn't interested. So
All right.
apparently I gave answers. Would I know how to get home from there on my own? I said, no, no idea. Stuff like that. So it kind of killed my chances of going to that, what we call a public school. And who knows, I might have become prime minister or something like that, mightn't I? And or not, of course, or not. But yeah, I never wanted to play rugby. Football was the game for me. Well, what about tennis? Do you like tennis? Do you play tennis? Do you watch tennis?
Like Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I have played a form of tennis when I was a kid, but it wasn't with the traditional tennis bats. It was with
Rackets.
it wasn't with the rackets. It was with some makeshift kind of racket, but it wasn't a racket. It was a 4 liter jerry can, and you take. I know it was proper
Wow.
makeshift. Yeah, so a 4 liter jerry can, and you take the cap off, and you'd put your thumb inside, halfway inside the just to get a firmer grip on.
Yeah, I can get your idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you play it like tennis. That's what we did as a kid. So that's how close I've
Hmm.
come to playing tennis. Obviously, the ball will bounce further because of the elasticity of the jerry can. So it would
Yeah.
obviously propel it further than a traditional racket would. Um, and we used to call it Orlando, and that's what we called it then.
Orlando. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's how we called it then as a kid. So I'd play it, but that's how close I've come to playing
Hmm.
tennis. And we don't play on a grass, so it's not a grass; it's just a firm ground. That's where we played it on. Yeah, and there
Well, of
was no
course, tennis.
yeah,
Go on.
yeah, and there was no nets, so we couldn't
No.
we could yeah, as kids we couldn't afford the nets. So what we did was we just drew a line on the ground. So we drew a line on the ground. So and then you stand inside the line, and if the ball goes outside the line, um, that's a that's a loss to the other player.